should be fine. Thanks for mentioning. Yes, we sent out our newsletter this. We just decided to rename it the Weekly Sun. Do you like it? Do you like the new name? Anyway, yes, with the big announcement that we've renamed the road that our studio is on, starting in January 2022, or at least first quarter 2022. The road is going to be named Langston Boulevard. Super exciting, a big step forward for Arlington. Really proud of our county board and the working group that I served on to choose the name and vet the process and survey the community. It was a long project, and we're so happy with the way it turned out. So yeah, if you do not receive our weekly sun, go to our website and make sure you sign up for it. Yeah. Anyway, welcome. I'm Annie Moyer. This is Sun and Moon Yoga's YouTube channel. This is our daily live stream of a short practice that we've been doing since the pandemic hit in March of 2020. And I feel a little emotional to say this is the second to last time I'm going to be coming to you live on a Monday morning. We are and a presence on YouTube for sure. Not going to be in this regular format. As we open up more in the studio locations for in-person classes and continue our Zooming classes, we're going to scale this project back and reshape it. So yes, tune in live next week for my morning live stream. I'm going to do it, I think, from the roof deck where I did my first one. That was very clunky and awkward. But this morning, I want to talk about balance. And I don't mean balancing on one foot. I mean the balance of life that we all are facing right now as we shift away from what we knew as the pandemic and what we know now as the new versions of it, which is really heading toward COVID being endemic rather than pandemic. So just a part of our lives that probably will become much more manageable, as it already has for those of us who have been vaccinated. I'm a strong advocate for getting the vaccine. I believe it is our best way forward to live a life that is manageable and that is safe and healthy for ourselves and for the people around us who for medical reasons cannot get the vaccine. And we know that the Delta variant is now raging through the populations who have been unvaccinated, and it's still to be determined how much that will affect those of us who have been vaccinated. So that's what the balance that I'm thinking about is describing. That's what I'm tuning into is how do we balance the feeling of safety and security from having been vaccinated and having the ability to go out and socialize in public and conduct our business in public and be with each other without fear, and the understandable concern and informed caution about not going too far, not getting too lax, keeping our guard up just enough to stay healthy and to keep each other safe, but not so much that we recoil back into isolation. Evidence is clear now that that wasn't good for most of us. And so the balance between opening and remaining vigilant is what I want to explore today in mind, in heart, and breath and body. And so we'll do a practice that's mostly reclined. And if you have some sort of block handy, some sort of lift, you can use thick books, you can use sofa cushions, you can use pillows, something that will give you a little bit of a lift when we move through these different sequences that will offer some balance. So come to your back first, just flat on the floor with your knees bent. And I've got a block here for a little bit later, but to start, just flat on the floor, knees bent, feet resting down. Feel the soles of your feet rooting into the ground. And just feel which parts of your back right now are steady and supported and resting firmly on the ground, and which parts are curving gently and naturally away from the ground. So I feel a little curve away from the ground in my neck, behind my neck, and in my lower back. And I feel a big distance behind my knees. And I feel another little distance under my feet. So all these gentle arches rising up into the body, and all these steady downward curves rooting me into the ground. So these, it cut out again. I'm so sorry. I hope you all are still there. I don't know what's going on. Ah! Anyway, the last thing I said when I noticed that it was cutting out is to have the palms turned up and the arms rolled out slightly. And then a deep breath in, lifting the arms, reaching back, and an exhale, releasing and returning to the ground. So do that just, I don't know, 3 or 5 times. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, they come back down. Now leave one arm as the other one goes up. And at this time, switch them and choose a breath that makes sense to coordinate with this movement. And if you need to bend an elbow to get the hand down, that's fine. No worries. So here's a simple example of balance. One arm is rising up and opening, while the other arm is returning back to tuck itself in. So one arm venturing out into the world, and the other arm nesting back at home. The breath doesn't really care which way is up, which arm is home. And that we can take a cue from that. So the breath, the spirit, the life force, the nervous system, all maintaining a certain sort of neutral objectivity, a witnessing that part of us is up and out, part of us is resting steady. That's the idea. All right, both arms come back down again. Pause there for a moment. Take a few breaths. And now take one knee in and then bring it down. Take the other knee in. I think you know where this is going. Bring it down, both in together. Bring them down. Do that a couple more times. If you're feeling like you want a little bit more of a strength challenge, you can do this with your legs straight, up and down, and then alternate. So you start with knees bent, one leg coming up, the other leg rooting down. And then gradually, if you feel like it, you can straighten the legs. So they're kind of scissoring. You'll notice that there's a little bit of, you're asking the abdominal muscles to come on board a little more, a little more actively. All right. And then return to pause for a breath or 3. And then bend the knees again. This time, take the knees out wide and bring them together. Out wide and bring them together. One more time, just a simple entree into this hip opening movement. And then bring your arms over your head like a halo. You can grab your wrists or your elbows. And as you breathe out, bring the elbows in, as you in and in front of your chest, forearms together. And as you inhale, raise them overhead. So that's this movement. You can also get really fancy and alternate the cross of your forearms each time you raise the arms overhead. And don't worry so much about which breath coordinates with which movement. You can inhale on the way up, or you can exhale on the way up. So now, as you might imagine, as the arms go up, we're going to add the legs coming out. And as the knees come in, the elbows come in to match. So here's one way we're balancing out the movement, opening together and drawing inward together. And then to get super fancy, open one by the arms rising and the knees staying together, and then alternate the other way. So arms are rising as the knees come together, and arms coming in front of you as the knees and thighs go out wide. So this requires attention, and it requires a willingness to release and open up. And that's, I believe, what the exact thing that's required of us right now, where we sit and live in the summer of 2021. Cautiously optimistic, exploring ways to open back up to the world, and at the same time, not forgetting that we still have a responsibility to each other to stay safe, to keep healthy, to care for those who are less so than us, less healthy, less able. All right, bring everything in now together. Reach your arms up, exhale, cross them in front of you, give yourself a big hug. Inhale, open back out wide, and then recross, big hug, and release, arms by your side. Now let's take the block or the cushion or the pillow or whatever you have underneath for a little bridge pose. So the lift goes at the base of the spine, not up in the curved lower back part, but at the base. And then walk your feet out a step further in front of you, arms by your sides, and scoop your in toward, but in. one at a time, scooping in. So you're rolling more onto the upper outer arms. And you might feel that that puffs up your chest a little higher, a little bolder. Take a breath here. Walk the feet another step forward. Take a breath here. Maybe one more step. And then lift one leg all the way up as high as it'll go, and then release it. And you guessed, the other leg comes up now, and release it. One at a time. And then two at a time, alternating. Scissors, balance, attention that's neutral, objective to whether one is opening and the other is closing. One is rising, the other is dropping, but a calm and simple attention to both, and a recognition that both are possible simultaneously. So, very seldom is anything an all or nothing endeavor. You just don't find that in life that much. And you can play around with how straight and far out from you the bottom leg lands for a breath. Feel like that's too much of a strain. So it might feel more manageable to keep it close in and bent. Likewise on the top leg. You can be really vigorous and reach it high up and straight. You can keep it soft and bent and easily drawing in. And that's all part of this work of finding the right balance. It's different for each person. Okay. Bring them both down, bend both knees, feet to the floor. Pause. If you have a block here, it might be interesting to turn it a notch higher. If you're using pillows or cushions, it might be interesting to add one. Scoop the shoulders underneath again and in toward the spine. Pause. Feel the breath. Feel the rooted nature of what's touching the floor. And feel the buoyant nature of what isn't. And now, two knees in together, and then straighten up any amount. If you could see your toes, you can spread and wiggle them, and then notice if that makes your hands automatically wiggle. See if you can keep your hands and fingers at ease while the toes spread and wiggle. And breathe and stretch and ground. And from here, open the legs some distance apart. Stay there for a breath or two. Feel the inner thighs working, and you can You're welcome to use your hands to help support the legs. And then keep the thighs wide, but bend the knees, bring the feet together. From here, raise the arms, take them all the way back behind you. Root the shoulders into the floor. And then bring the knees together. And the hands to the knees. And then arms to the ground, feet to the ground. Lift up just enough to remove what's underneath you. Slowly return the spine to your side and come up to sit. Legs crossed, sitting tall. Take a breath. And then inhale, reach up. And on an exhale, twist to one side. Inhale, reach up again. Exhale, twist to the other side. Inhale, reach up. Topple over sideways to one side. Lengthen through the fingertips on the top arm. Feel the long stretch on the whole sideline of the torso. And up and over to the other side. This is one of my favorite stretches. Really sorry, I see that this is cutting in and out. I hope you're still with me. Rounding your spine back and forth. And breathing in and breathing out. Luxuriating and reveling in this movement, this simple act of being fully present and fully alive. Some days that's all we can ask of ourselves. All right, come back to a neutral seat and just pause here for a few quiet, simple breaths, returning to stillness in the body, letting thoughts settle down into a place of ease and relative quiet. Noting the breath and how it shows up as sensation inside. And then gathering up your hands together in front of your heart. I hope that you are able to find some balance in your day. And I wish you all peace. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.